Yes fam, happy Saturday from Australia. Today's video is all about how to build incredible strength and flexibility using just your body weight. In the past, I've been the big bodybuilder lifting heavy weights in the gym, smashing chicken and tuna and broccoli and brown rice, tracking every macro and set and rep and weight meticulously, this outside-in approach, to more recently traveling the world, investing in a set of gymnastic rings, getting stronger and more mobile and confident in my body than ever before, without the need for a gym or any equipment or any crazy rigid diets. So that's what today's video is about. I'm going to take you through a workout, and make sure you stick with me until the end, because I'm going to share really helpful tips on how to breathe well, how to move well, and how to get strong and confident in your body. So before we get into it, I'm going to brew a fresh cup of coffee. Let's go, fam. For years, I spent money on gym memberships that I barely used. I went from one box to another, from my office desk job to an artificially lit gym, mindlessly pressing away with weights on machines, tracking my sets and my reps and my weight, eating copious amounts of chicken and brown rice and broccoli and tuna, only to consistently end up in pain around my chest and my shoulders. And it was because I was using a very outside-in approach to fitness and health in general and life in general. So fast forward to today, discovering bodyweight training has transformed the way that I move and the way that I live. And so in today's video, I'm going to share with you how my philosophy towards movement and health has changed. And I'm going to share with you some tips on how bodyweight training and breathing well, moving well, and living well can massively improve your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual health. So bodyweight training has taught me how to work in harmony with my body, how to be connected with my mind and my body, and how to feel mobile, and how to use my breath as an anchor to kind of stabilize my body, and how to expand and open and release what I've been holding on to. So movement for me is so much more than just building strength and muscle. It used to be all about the aesthetics, but these days it's about something that I get to do. It's a gift that I get to give to my body. I see movement as an expression, as an art form, as a way to move and express and let go of what was to make space for what is and all that's yet to come. So in today's video, that's what I want to share with you, is just some basic philosophies around movement, how you can move better in your body, and how you can feel better as a human and thrive in life. So the foundation of a great movement practice, or the foundation of a strong mobile body, begins with your feet. Your feet are the foundation. Your feet are what connect you to the earth. And for many of us, we suffocate our feet with socks that kind of pull everything in, shoes that are too tight, and everything starts to kind of round in with the body, because the feet are the foundation and they create the base for everything above. And your toes are designed to be able to splay like your hands. So this is why I use 5-finger socks and look like a weirdo. I separate the toes. This is why I use barefoot shoes, minimalist sole, a wide toe box so that my feet can really open up and expand. And this is why I spend most of my time bare feet if I can. So for you, it may be as simple as investing in a cork ball and massaging your feet. It might be about splaying out your toes, just being more mindful of how you move around on your feet throughout the day, and spending more time barefoot, getting outside in the woods, grounding, walking bare feet in the earth. This is a nice way to start strengthening your connection to your feet, and this is going to carry up into every other aspect of your body. So this is a really simple way to start engaging and activating your feet muscles and mobilizing the tissues that are in your feet. And this is going to ripple out into all the other parts of your body. Because remember, if your feet are tight and suffocated, it's going to pull in the hips, the glutes, the lower back, the chest, the shoulders, the neck. Everything will be tight if the feet are tight. The feet are your foundation. The next area that we want to focus on are the hips and the low back and the core and the chest and the shoulders. Okay, so I'm going to take you through some very basic principles that will help you start to understand how to move more effectively as a human and build more strength and really get the most out of bodyweight training. So I'm going to take you through a quick warm-up now just before we get into it, to make it really simple. People say that you need to spend so much time on a warm-up. Personally, I like to keep it incredibly simple. Simple scales, fancy fails. Let's get into a really simple warm-up that you can do with resistance bands, and you don't even need the bands if you don't have them. Some trainers and fitness gurus out there might make out as though you need a very structured and extensive warm-up, but I like to keep it simple. Simple scales, fancy fails. So I like to start with a light resistance band and just start to activate the shoulders and the rear delts and to kind of open everything up. At this point, I'm focused on staying pretty loose. I'm not focusing on trying to squeeze too hard. I'm just kind of exploring and opening up my body. As you can see here, it's not super complicated, it's very simple. Then I'll pop the resistance band on the ground and I'll stand on top of the resistance band, and then I'm going to do some overhead presses, keeping the elbows nice and close to the body, fully extending and locking out the elbows at the top, coming back down under control, pushing back up overhead, coming down in front of the face, pressing up overhead. Just like so. The goal here is to get blood flow, is to get movement into the shoulders, and to start feeling connected to your body as a whole. Think about how your feet are connecting to the earth. Do you have a strong, solid, and stable base? This is really important. So now I've wrapped that resistance band around the pole. You're going to keep the chest up, keep the elbows nice and close to the body, and squeeze those elbows back behind the body. Again, I'm staying pretty loose with my hands. I'm not squeezing the resistance band too tight. I'm focusing on bringing my elbows back behind the body, keeping the back and the chest nice and straight and upright. As you can see, you can go through some more extensive range of motion, and I'm starting to get a little bit fatigued now. The purpose of this is to focus on simplicity. Focus on getting blood flow into your body, focusing on opening up the shoulders and the chest, and focus on activating the back muscles. Most people that start out with strength training, whether it's in the gym or whether it's bodyweight training, focus a lot on the muscles they can see, the chest and the shoulders. So it's a lot of pressing. But if you press too much without balancing that with some pulling, then eventually you're going to get these rounded shoulders. You're going to have too much tension and tightness around the chest and not enough retraction, pulling back and activating those back muscles. So if you're just getting started with strength training, you want to focus on a nice balance of pressing, pushing, and pulling. So when it comes to any kind of movement, whether it's in the gym or whether it's at home using bodyweight training, I love to think of pushing, pulling, hinging, squatting. I like to train movement patterns. So for example, when it comes to pressing, you have a horizontal press, like a bench press or a push-up. When it comes to overhead vertical pressing, you have a shoulder press or you have a handstand. When it comes to vertical pulling, you have a chin-up or a pull-up, right? And when it comes to horizontal pulling, you have a row, whether it's a bodyweight row, whether it's a dumbbell row. So you want to focus on creating a nice balance between the amount of pushing and the amount of pulling that you are doing. If you're doing too much pushing, you're likely going to get tight through the chest and through the shoulders. Your shoulders are going to round in, and you're not going to have a solid, balanced posture. So it is important to be able to train the muscles that you can't see by getting those elbows back behind the body. So this comes through your chin-ups, your pull-ups, your rows, and also training through a full range of motion when you're doing dips or when you're doing push-ups. Most people train within a really short range of motion, but if you want to build strength and mobility at the same time, it is about training through a full range of motion, trying to really move through your fullest range of motion possible. And this is something that you'll practice and develop over time. So if you're just starting out as a beginner, train within a range that feels comfortable for you, that feels safe for you, and slowly deepen that range of motion that you can achieve. So if, for example, all you can do at the moment is wall push-ups or knee push-ups, that's perfectly fine. Start where you are and do what you can and progress from where you are. this is what it's all about. So a really simple warm up, use some bands, get the body open, get the body activated, keep it simple. That is all you really need. Now the other thing that I'm going to do a few scapular pull-ups. And this right here can actually be a really powerful exercise if you are just a beginner. For me, I like to use it as part of my warm up, but if you're more of a beginner and you want to eventually get your first pull-up or chin-up, scapular pull-ups are a really great place to start. And even the dead hang, just learning how to hang more effectively and more efficiently is really powerful. So let's jump across to the bar. I'll show you the scapular pull-ups. All right, so scapular pull-ups on the bar behind me. There's no need to overcomplicate this. You're effectively hanging from the bar, keeping your elbows locked, keeping your arms nice and straight, and you're pulling your shoulders away from your ears down towards your back pockets. Then you're allowing your shoulders to relax, to come up towards the ears, and then you're pulling your shoulders down and back towards your back pockets. It doesn't have to be complicated, and you don't have to grip the bar super tightly. However, your grip is also partly your foundation. So a strong grip is really important and really helpful for many things in life. If you have strong grip strength, you're gonna generally be a pretty strong person. So learning to hang from the bar in a dead hang, learning how to activate the shoulders using your scapula, learning how to pull the shoulders down and back is a really foundational skill if you want to become strong and powerful with your body weight. So I'm going to show you what the scapular pull looks like. I'll show you what a dead hang looks like as well. So basically, you want to grip the bar, wrap your thumbs around the bar like so. Allow your shoulders to relax, to come up towards your ears. Allow your lower body to relax a little bit as well. And then think about pulling the shoulders back down towards your back pockets. Relaxing, pulling the shoulders, keeping the elbows straight. And so with your lower body, you can straighten that out a little bit as well by pointing the toes, squeezing the glutes slightly. And so this right here is just a dead hang. I'm just allowing gravity to pull me down, to pull my shoulders up. And now I'm going to pull the shoulders towards my back pockets for a scapular pull. Relax, pull, relax, pull. And try to keep your body under the bar. Try not to pull too far forward or too far back. Just keep it simple. You can go through as many as you want. You can really slow this down, and you can have a pause at that bottom rep. You can come down under control. Keep it simple, simple scales, fancy fails. So again, like I said, this can be really good for a beginner. If you're new to bodyweight training, just getting better at hanging from the bar and pulling your shoulders down and back is a really good starting point. So if you could go through 3 to 5 to 10 reps of that, or even if you can just hold and hang there for 30 seconds, you're off to a really incredible start. Now, one of the most important pieces that we must speak about is your breath. The way that you breathe has a massive impact on how you handle stress, on how much strength you can build, on how flexible and mobile you can become. Think of your breath as an anchor that can pull you into the present moment, that can allow you to respond to life rather than react to life. So when you're connected to your breath, you're connected to your body. I see the breath as the bridge between your mind and your body. So you can move your breath intentionally. Your breath is like a broom that can sweep out stagnant energy. And you get to control your breath through conscious breathing. And so you breathe through your nose. So I invite and challenge you to start breathing through your nose during your physical training. Even though it might be hard in the beginning, and eventually there's going to be moments where you want to breathe through your mouth. And it's okay if you do breathe through your mouth here and there. But even when you want to breathe through your mouth, practice coming back to nasal breathing. Breathing deeply in through the nose, into the lungs, allowing the belly to expand, the rib cage to expand, and then relaxing and exhaling. So inhale and exhale out through the nose. Sometimes it's okay to exhale out through the mouth, but if you can train your body and your mind to start breathing through your nose, you're going to be able to adapt and respond to stress more effectively in your life. So the other thing with the breath is I think of the inhale to expand, to open, to stabilize, and the exhale to contract and push away, or to relax and let go. That may sound a little bit confusing, but start to just trust your own breath. Start to attune to your own breath. Let go of the strategies. It doesn't need to all be so mind-based, but start to tune into your body's natural rhythm and your breath's natural rhythm. Simply practice nasal breathing and be more mindful of how you're breathing when you are using bodyweight training, or simply even when you're navigating through your life. Just notice how you are breathing throughout your day. Notice those moments where you're contracting and see if you can expand and open in those moments when you may be contracting or withdrawing or shutting down. Your breath is the anchor. Your breath is so important in bodyweight training, but also in life in general. The next massive and important tip I have for you is your core and your hips. For a lot of people, they tend to have this posterior pelvic tilt where the butt sticks out and the lower back, the spine is shortened. Or on the other hand, some people have an anterior pelvic tilt where the pelvis is really tilted underneath. However, there's a nice kind of middle ground where you're nice and relaxed. You don't have an overly tilted pelvis posteriorly or anteriorly. So it's just kind of more neutral. And so this is where you want to be. You want to have a level of fluidity within the way that you move, the way that you live. When you're holding tension in your belly or in your balls or in your sexual energy center, usually you're going to create this stagnation. And so you can eliminate that through consciously moving and consciously breathing. So just become more aware of whether maybe you have this anterior tilt, I should say posterior tilt, or anterior tilt, and see if you can start to open up the body and to be more receptive to life, more open. This comes through moving consistently. This comes through noticing your patterns. This comes through noticing where you're holding tension in your body. And so you can improve the way that your posture sits through strengthening your core, through using bodyweight training, through moving more often. I used to think that it was so rigid in terms of I have to stretch every day, I have to mobilize myself every day. But in actual fact, when I just train consistently every second day, and I get out for a walk every now and then, and I focus on taking time to connect to my body, I can be a thriving human, and it doesn't have to be stressful or overwhelming. So I'm sharing a lot of information in this video, but in my opinion, it is all very relevant and necessary and helpful. So if you have any questions, remember to drop them in the comments below. Any thoughts, anything that's resonated with you, drop it down below. I'll be responding to those personally. Now, the next part of this session, I want to focus on opening up the hips and really using bodyweight training and a little bit of weights as a way to build strength and flexibility. Because most people think that stretching has to be separate and a warm-up has to be separate. But in my opinion, you can get it all done within 45 minutes, half an hour, and still get an incredible workout in without segmenting everything and creating so much separation. So this, in my opinion, is what it's all about. It is a holistic approach to movement and to life and to breathing. Everything is intertwined. All right, so now we're going to get into one of my favorite exercises, and this is something that I struggled with for so many years, and that's pull-ups. This is something that I would consider to be a little bit more intermediate or advanced, but don't worry if you are just starting out, if you're more of a beginner, that's totally cool too, because there are still ways in which you can get started. So I'll teach you that right now. So for the pull-up, what we're focusing on is getting the chest up to the bar, keeping the elbows in nice and tight, keeping the core nice and stable, trying to keep the body in a straight line. And ultimately it's about pulling the shoulders away from the ears and bringing the elbows back behind the body, keeping the body nice and close to the bar. So I'm going to show you what it looks like for a beginner. I want you to focus on just scapular pull-ups and a dead hang. And then I'll show you what a real repetition looks like of the pull-up. So for someone that's more of a beginner, it makes sense for you to just start increasing your grip strength by really gripping the bar, allowing your shoulders to relax, to come up towards the ears, and then to start pulling the shoulders away from the ears while keeping those elbows locked. So you're not using your elbows, you're keeping your arms nice and straight. You're just pulling the shoulders back towards your back pockets. And you can think about squeezing the core, pointing the toes, relaxing the shoulders. You can incorporate some pauses at the bottom. And that should fire up the muscles in your forearms. That should really activate the muscles in your scapula, your rhomboids, your lower traps. And that should also activate just your shoulder blades in general. All right, so now for a pull-up, I want to grip the bar, shoulder width apart, allow my body to hang underneath. I'm going to tighten up my glutes and my core. Then I'm going to think about pulling my shoulders away from the ears and bringing my elbows back behind the body like so. Big breath in. So if you want to build a strong back and you want to have really good posture, then it makes sense to get towards your first pull-up and or chin-up. And the way that you can achieve that is through strengthening your grip strength, through strengthening your scapula, your shoulder blades. And so that can come through dead hangs, and that can come through scapular pulls. All right, so now one of my personal favorites to build the chest and the shoulders and to improve mobility as well. And that exercise is dips. And it may seem like a simple exercise, but it's actually pretty complex. So if doing a full dip for you is difficult, if you're more of a beginner, a good place to begin is locking out the shoulders and the elbows in this top position and thinking about rotating your elbow pits forward. So thinking about opening up the shoulder, so you're externally rotating the shoulder, pushing away and opening up. This is a good place to begin at the top of the dip, and you can go through a scapular push, letting the shoulders come towards the ears, pushing away. This is a good place to begin if you can't achieve a full dip. The other thing you can do if you can't achieve a full dip is use a bit of your body weight. So you can stand up, you can use your feet, and you can press out at the top. Stand up. You can go from standing to pressing away. Standing, pressing away. And this is how you can get towards your first dip. When you're ready for it, you can go for a full dip. Some people like to keep their knees locked like this, push away. So I've got a big sandbag here standing in my way, but dips are really key. Dips are really powerful. From behind, now next is a body weight row. This is the horizontal pulling. You can think of push-ups as horizontal pushing or pressing. And the body weight row is the horizontal pulling movement. So what I like to do is get set up on these bars here. I like to pull my chest up to the bar, then I like to lower myself down and pull up. Pulling the elbows back behind the body, trying to keep my body in a relatively straight line. So for the horizontal pull, the body weight row, I like to get myself nice and close to the bar. Start with keeping my chest up above the bar, elbows back behind the body, and then I lower myself down. Now I'm going to go through that range of motion, elbows back behind the body, bringing the chest up towards and through the bar. Trying to keep my body in a nice straight line. Alright, so another personal favorite of mine, one that I've been practicing a lot this year, is the handstand. And if you're new to handstands, if you're a beginner, you want to get started, a couple of great movements. Probably the most beginner one would be the frog stand, but even this can be a bit challenging. So take your time with it, but basically you want to get your hands, think about using your pointer fingers to create an L like this, placing your hands flat on the ground, and then using your elbows to kind of push your knees out. And you'll find a bit of a sticking point, and you want to practice balancing on this sticking point like so. And a more advanced version is called the pigeon pose, and that goes like this, where you get your elbows, you create a shelf on your elbows for your knees. So you're coming up a little bit higher, like so. Find your balance. As you can see, it's humbling, it's challenging, and that's what I love about it. Handstands, baby, let's go. Now the next piece to touch on is the lower body. We can't neglect the legs. We can't neglect the wheels. So for me, I like to keep it simple. I like to incorporate strength and mobility at the same time. So I'll use a Cossack squat, where I'm coming from one side to the other. And I'll use weight. I'll use a weight plate with this. I love to use this and superset it with a split squat. Now this might be too difficult for someone that's a beginner, and if that's the case, that's totally okay. Start where you are, do what you can. Just slowly, without any weight at all, start to focus on moving from side to side, opening up the hips, feeling the connection to the earth with your feet, keeping the spine nice and upright, not moving too far forward or too far back. Just start exploring, moving. This is what it's about. If the single leg is too difficult, focus on double leg squatting. Don't worry if your heels come off the ground slightly. Just practice on single leg squatting. You can use a wall. You can do a wall squat to start activating the muscles in your glutes and to start being more connected to your body. And then another important pattern to learn is the hinge pattern, which is pushing the hips back like so. You're keeping the chest and the spine upright, but you're moving through the hips. Moving the hips back, feeling that stretch in the hamstrings, and then you're bringing the hips through. So there's different exercises that you can use for the lower body. Keep it simple though. Simple scales, fancy fails. So I like to use the weight plate. I like to hold it here, and I like to go from side to side. Seeing if I can get a little bit deeper on each rep, a little slower, a little more controlled, a little more intentional. It's simple. Simple doesn't mean easy, folks. That's it. Now, grabbing some weights for my split squat. You don't need to use weights, but I like to. And so I'm focusing on moving through a full range of motion. Keeping the spine nice and tall, moving through that front leg, keeping my balance, keeping that back knee off the ground. Split squat. Gonna swap over, do the same on the other side. That's as simple as it can be. Now, finally, if I'm feeling extra daring, a new addition to my workout regime, sandbags. Sandbagging is tough. It's very primal. There's something about our ancestors back in the Stone Age carrying big stones to build Stonehenge. There's something about sandbagging that is primal and powerful. So, this is how I like to do it. I've got a 40 kilo one here, 80 kilo over there. I'll save the 80 kilos for another day and another video. So, with this 40 kilo sandbag, I'm just gonna go through as many reps as possible, 1 minute of work. Nice, strong, stable foundation through the feet. Lifting the sandbag, it's awkward, it's uncomfortable. Getting it up, shouldering it, bring it back down, shouldering it on the other arm. Let's go. Careful not to hurt this mic. Just gonna take the mic off for now. Tough. All right, fam, there you have it. That is a wrap for today's movement and bodyweight training philosophy video. Thanks for watching. If you've made it this far, I'll see you in the next video. I'm off to have a nice shower, breakfast, and then a podcast for the afternoon. Have an epic day.